Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from everyday guy, Redonkulous guy, and welcome back to the letter. So in the last episode, nothing much happened. After we escaped from the ghosts last night, we just woke up the next day in Isabella's room. And just to make sure that, everyone is safe and alright, and to discuss about, the fact that what happened with them and the ghost thing deal is real. Yeah, we called upon everyone, that is Zach and Rebecca, as you can see, which did not pick up, as you might know what happened in their arcs as to why they were not. And after a while Zach picked up and he came upon, as we saw in the last episode, and a little while later Rebecca also came back, little bruised because of what happened in the last of her arc, though, as you might remember. And seeing upon those bruises and stuff, we kind of stopped right here where let's make the choice. That is, are you alright? Or please tell me you didn't do anything dangerous, which she will get really pissed off on, considering the look on her face. Yeah, she will get really pissed. So, are you alright? Daijabu?
You okay? You're limping.
As expected, she tries to hide it. This time, when she squirms from my grasp, it's with enough force she almost stumbles back if Zack hadn't caught her by the elbow. Even with two more people shooting her concerned look, she's swift to shrug it off.
It's fine. I just had a little accident.
Little accident. Hard to believe when her other arm's nursing the supposedly fine arm. Isabella doesn't buy any of it either.
In a library? Well, yeah. It kinda caught me off guard.
Oh yes.
Something's happened there, hasn't it?
I don't have to elaborate on the question further. Shortly, she goes very still and the hand placed over her right arm shifts ever so slightly, its grip on the limb tightening. Not too firm to hurt, but just enough for a gesture of comfort for herself. Warily, she casts a glance at everyone in the room. Don't worry, everyone knows about the ghost, everyone has experienced it, so yeah, you can share your great experience with the ghost now. But only the one she spares for Isabella lingers longer, and in that moment, something unspoken passes between them. An understanding. It strikes me seconds later how utterly familiar her expression is. It's the same one I have seen far too many times in Isabella. Since that day at the movie house, every time her attempts to warn us have been so rudely dismissed.
Let me see.
Can we? We have to check if it's bad.
Rebecca hesitates for a moment. Then, after a minute of consideration, she sighs and reaches for the hem of her sleeve, raises it just enough for Isabella to take a good look at it. Not swollen, but a large portion of her skin's starting to turn an ugly shade of purple.
Oh, that is gonna be one hell of a nasty bruise.
Tell me about it. It was a library cart that hit me. You know, the old metal ones they keep near the history section.
Ouch! Like I said, nasty.
But she's there? She went after you. Yeah, I was in the archives, looking something up. Suddenly, she was just there. Belle, she was using my own students against me. What kind of terrible person does that? Oh, it makes my blood boil.
You should have just ran. That woman's not something you can hit with a book.
but she did. She hit the ghost with a book, smacked right across it. It was so cool.
Laugh it up, Ashton. I did. Then the bloody cart came out of nowhere. And you know what? If it weren't for a damn book, I would be dead by now.
True. Silence descends in the room as the gravity of that one word hits all of us. Dead. Another close call. Another would have. Another one we have narrowly avoided. How long can we keep this up? Let's see. The choices are on to me, so let's see how long can we keep this up. We are bound to break at one point. No normal human being with a sane mind can last like this. It's a miracle Isabella hasn't cracked yet. After all, she was the one who found that letter. I've expected her to have caved in by now, yet her voice, calm and composed in the face of this, is what cuts through the thick air.
I'll go get a cold compress for that arm. You guys take a seat first. Ashton and I, We have a lot of things to talk about.
That marks the end of it, at least for the time being. And as soon as Isabella returns and hands Rebecca the cold compress she promised, we get straight down to business. Surprisingly easy considering the rigid air in the room. Although there's some tense fumbling for words at first, the whole conversation gains steam once what happened last night at BRC has been put on the table. All at once, everything we have brushed off, carelessly ignored, and rudely dismissed have been laid out for close scrutiny. Zach's encounters with the woman and his dreams, Rebecca's close brushes with death every time she appears, the dread, the fear, the terror she brings out even in the bravest of us, everything. Because no matter how bleak this all seems, there must still be a way out of this. There has to be, logic be damned. Or at least that's what Isabella and I would like to believe. Let's see. Yet, even as the cold morning light shifts to the warning hues of late afternoon and eventually night, none of this still makes a freaking damn sense. Darkness has fallen, but we are still nowhere near figuring things out. If anything, we are more at a loss than we have ever been before we even started this. The next thing I know, frustration rears its ugly head and the sheets of paper I have been holding smacks the table harder than I have intended. The sound of it echoes loudly in the small room and everyone simply falls silent. Along with it is a release of another long-held breath. Perhaps the 100th since this morning.
We aren't getting anywhere at this rate.
Don't just drop it! There must be something in this we aren't seeing yet.
It's an odd thing to hear from her. The very words I have been telling myself every single time I find myself facing a dead end. We can use a little of the optimism right now, I guess.
I know, but what are we supposed to be looking at here in the first place?
Well, we already looked through those files. You're the one that picked it out last night, right?
All of them? I'm pretty sure every person we've checked in there isn't necessarily involved. One client possibly died of old age. Remember, you found that dumb paper.
Not so dumb if it can kill all of us.
Very funny, Z-Man. Anyway, like I said, you discovered that paper right before the open house. No one else was allowed inside during that time. It's too broad of a scope if we include every single person. In fact, the only notable ones are C and Jean Marie.
But if we are going to include them in the count, shouldn't there have been more than enough people to end this freaking curse already? How does this thing even work?
Yeah, okay. They went in and out of this place. But no, you still don't get it. What I'm trying to say about those clients is...
Maybe there's more than one of it. Even my friend, the priest from the cathedral. He's been acting strangely.
Father Norman? Him too?
Yeah, I visited him a few days ago. He was hysterical. They think he's sick, but I have a feeling what might the real cause be.
I knew it. I shouldn't have asked for his help.
He was only trying to help too. It's not your fault. There might be more than one of that paper going around that we don't know about. More to this. I mean, look at all this stuff Rebecca brought with her. Apparently our teachers have been lying to us all these years. So who knows?
Hey, now don't blame us. Blame the bloody books they wrote.
Quietly, Isabella reaches for one of the papers Rebecca has brought with her and carefully inspects the words printed on the page. A copy of an old newsprint from even before the city has been founded. Her eyes narrows with each line it passes but lingers at the illustration of the noblewoman's servant.
Why do they have to keep this in the restricted section?
Rebecca merely shrugs at her inquiry, but her own annoyance seeps through her answer.
How should I know? I wasn't even aware we have archives that go as far back as this. This is before the city was even founded. As a matter of fact, if it weren't for Andrew's help, I wouldn't have gotten my hands on any of it. Maybe they didn't think it would be important to talk about it. After all, this is more Anselm's than ours.
That or some old bugger's hiding something.
Why else would this tell a completely different story? Revising what's written seems a useless endeavor on its own when you have nothing to gain from it. Thanks to those, we are also missing a lot of things here. All we have to go with is the mansion, the letter, and all the stuff selfish people have been keeping from the public. But what else? Somehow, even with all this information in hand, it still feels like there's something we are overlooking. At present, everything seems to point to where this all started. The Ermengarde mansion. Will bringing the ladder back there fix everything? Frick. How do I? The mansion's a private property now. Can't just waltz in there. I'd rather die before I even think of begging Wright to let me in and investigate the place. One thing's very clear after these 2 last days, however. We are not safe anywhere and I have to act fast if I want to keep my own friends alive. We can't keep running away. I wonder what's going on with Luke right now though. Sooner or later she will get us. Before that happens, I have to put an end to this. Sighing, I stand up and stretch out the kinks in my back. After several hours of sitting, we have been at this for too long. A break is needed. Time to let everything to sink in or else we will all burn out. I know I will, and it's another thing I cannot let happen when they are all counting on me like this. Albeit unspoken, it's in their eyes as they look up to me, waiting.
We've been at this since morning. We should take a break for a few.
The rest of it never makes it out of my mouth as something heavy and grating sounds from the far end of the room. A harsh, booming noise rending through the eardrums of everyone in the room. All at once, the 3 of them are on their feet, while I quickly palm for my gun on the table. However, before I can pull it up and remove the safety, the whole racket stops. Stillness descends in the room, and amidst the sudden hush, the 4 of us exchange anxious glances. Whoa! So much for a break.
Ashton, that might be.
Gather everything.
No questions asked. They have wasted no time getting to work, piling up the documents we have been reading through. Even Isabella's unusually silent as she gathers everything in her arms, her own movements sharp and precise, a deep furrow in her brow. There's fear, but something hardened and urgent overshadows her. But the moment doesn't last. Before we can even finish, another noise ups the tension already gripping the place. Suddenly, the lights go out and wardrobe at the end of the room rattles, as if something inside begs for freedom. Cautiously, eyes glued to it, I take a step forward and I release the lock from my gun. I am no trigger happy person. I'm not even sure if this will work on a ghost. But right now, its smooth surface against my palm with the trigger on my finger provides the closest thing I have to relief as I approach the closet.
Ashton, what are you doing?
I don't think that's a good idea. We should just...
Worried as they all are, they immediately stop at the slight raise of my hand. But the edge is there while they all huddle in the space between the door and the room. In case this goes south, whatever I find inside, they have enough time and space to run from their position. In 2 deep breaths, I've crossed the room and stood in front of the closet. Whatever's inside has yet to stop thrashing. Instead, it has now moved to banging at the door louder and louder the longer I dally. Another shallow breath. A glance at my companions. A nod. Something creaks. Then, in the next moment, I'm grasping at the handles and swinging the doors wide open to reveal nothing. Right away, I part the clothes hanging on it and still none. No ghost. No woman. Not a single trace of whoever's inside. Confused, I glance back towards my companions only to see them mirroring the same expression on my face. The noise has finally stopped, but I'm quite sure it isn't my imagination. Or maybe it is, and I'm just too strung up that my head's now making things up. No, not exactly with 4 people at the same time. Whatever the case is, we need to get out of here as soon as possible. This only confirms we are unsafe anyway. Without bothering to close it, I move back, ready to leave, adrenaline now coursing through every vein in my body. In the next second, I'm barking orders and...
We should go. Everyone, we need to... Ah!
What? I am spent sprawling on my back as something cold catches my ankle and yanks. Uh-oh. The resulting fall knocks the wind out of me. Pain racks my whole spine and the back of my head as it collides against floor with force enough to dislodge my own brain from my skull. A moment lasts before stars fade from my vision, and then I sense it. Cold tendrils twisting around my ankles, the smell of wild rot assaulting my nose, nauseating, sickening, a foul smell draining every feeling in my body. The moment her horrid laughter, shrill as unpleasant and vicious as the last time I've heard it, reaches my ears. My eyes snap open. Ho ho ho! Perhaps it's just inexperience. Or maybe my mind's still attempting to comprehend this. Regardless, the minute my eyes land on her, the whole of my body freezes. The gun in my hand turns useless as my grip on it slackens. She's like, "Hey, what's up?" It's in the manner her gaze bores on me, I will say. The look of utter hatred and malice. I've seen it a load of times. From suspects, mostly murderers, who have never regretted their actions despite being caught. This is the face of someone you can no longer reason with. And I know, the moment she laughs again and starts dragging me towards her, it's already going to be the...
Ashton, snap out of it!
No, I can't die here. Not yet. The haze fades from my mind and instinct kicks in then and there.
Everyone out! Get out! Get out of here!
With one powerful tug, I yank my feet out of her grip and scramble back to my feet, ignoring the piercing wails she fills the room with. Whoa. Within the span of a second, I'm gunning for the door, grabbing the wrist of the first person my hand can reach and leading everyone out. Into the hallway, down the flight of steps, and right inside my car. I waste no time flooring on the gas pedal the second the last person closes the door behind them, and in a short while I'm driving us out of Salemville. I don't even entertain the thought of winding down just yet, even as the last of the woman's painful cries fade into the night. Monday? Wow! A dreary downpour starts off the Monday. Although it doesn't last for more than an hour, the dark clouds lift just after the sun peaks over the horizon. Brief as it is, the rain has significantly dampened the park's usual cheery vibe. Mornings like this often mark the start of another bad week. An arrest gone wrong, another investigation leading to a dead end, and some truly messed up crap being called in. Like that one time I was dispatched to a scene where a guy gouged his own eyeball out and almost ate it. Whoa! Was a few chews away from swallowing it. In fact, lost my dinner that day. Oh
Fun
my
times.
god. Fun times. Of course, I doubt anything can top getting cursed by a damn chain letter of all things. This is the sort of stupid thing people pass along as a prank through emails and text messages. A ghost chasing after you just puts the icing on that cake. So far, we have all done is run, snoop about, read stuff, and run again. It frustrates me to no end how we are still no closer to an answer. Even my car reflects the state my mind is in. Photocopies of documents litter every available surface, scattered all over the place, spilling from the passenger side and into the back seat, making an entire mess of what little space there is. Not that I am any better. My last shower was 24 hours ago. I haven't slept at all, and my last meal was that chocolate porridge thing Isabella offered. Yeah, glad that we ate that. The way I am now, I am definitely getting a scolding. Rebecca will definitely give me an earful and tell me to take care of myself better, say that I'm killing myself on the job. I can already hear Isabella complaining how dark the bags under my eyes are getting, and about how I reek and how I need to shower pronto.
I can rest easy when this is all over.
Yeah, it's not that I can feel the pang of hunger. With that woman chasing after you, it's difficult not to feel anything other than horror. The rush of adrenaline coursing through my veins in my desperation to survive. In fact, I can still sense the ghost of her touch from last night. her bony digits wound tightly around my ankle, and that horrid smile she has on her face as she pulls me closer. The memory is enough to send a shiver up my spine and make me antsy. Perhaps the only thing comforting about this is the sight of my gun nearby. From my dashboard, sunlight glints off Ophelia's surface. Ophelia. Normally, I keep it hidden in a compartment, so you give the gun a name too. Wow. Luxembourg police regulation only allows authorized people to carry firearms, and even those are limited. Or unless Ophelia is like a name of the gun, then like him giving the name to the gun, like Shirley as in his car's name. Yeah, you got it. I'm so stupid to keep on talking about it. I do have that authorization. But I never really saw the need for its use when the standard issue tasers are more than good enough to incapacitate anyone. If not, I can always throw them on their back. Those judo lessons Dad forced me to get as a kid has its uses too. On a ghost though, all of those will probably yield the same result. They are all useless. I might as well use a stick. However, it's the feeling of ease I'm after, or what little of it I can gather from it. The awareness that I at least have something to protect myself with in case things go wrong. And I can still protect the people who are still depending on me despite the missteps I've taken. It doesn't take the edge off though, the feeling that your whole body has been strained far beyond its capacity. Frankly, I'm already running out of steam. The only thing pushing me right now is knowing someone's still depending on me. The stretch is still in order though. I've been sitting here since last night. Soon I step out from my car, closing it behind me with a thought as I take in my surroundings. The rain did wonders. The morning air feels crisper and cooler than it ever has been in days. For once, the weather seems to be taking a turn for the normal. Luxembourg, normal. In the distance beyond the buildings lining the horizon, dark clouds are blowing in.
A storm might be due this evening, give or take.
A shame for people looking forward to Halloween tonight. Oh, it's October 31st. Wow, Halloween. What do you know? I'm just not sure whether this is something I can look forward to as well. Still, I bask in the change it brings. Inhale, exhale, breathing in, taking in the peace as if it will be my last. But as with all the good things, the quiet shortly comes to an end. Not necessarily a bad end. The chatter reaches my ears, first halting my movements. Sure enough, when I glance up, I find them, Zach, Rebecca, and Isabella, just as they have entered the park grounds, bags of convenience store food in hand. After last night's flight from Salamwell, we have elected to stay the night here, unsure if our own homes will still be safe. Normally, we are all be adverse to the idea of spending the night outside like this, but panic and distress has tainted the decision. It's not like any of us has gotten an ounce of sleep anyway. On the off chance one of us did, it only lasted but a second, or it's a fitful one. But looking at them right now from afar, it's easy to mistake them for just a group of friends on a day out. Isabella's gesturing wildly with her arms as she talks. Something funny or amusing, probably because it's soon followed by Zach's booming laughter and Rebecca's giggles. Their voices fill the atmosphere with light air, temporarily easing off the disheartening mood. It's easy to pretend we are not knee-deep in life and death situation the way they are acting right now. If anything, it's only their appearance that betrays that mask. Slightly disheveled, bags under their eyes, an exhausted curve in their shoulders, and dragging footsteps. But the closer they get, the more obvious the signs are to the naked eye. Zach tosses an energy drink my way the moment the distance allows it. Isabella hands me the other bag she is holding before seating herself on the edge of the fountain. The scent of warm food immediately wafts from the bag when I open it, carried further by a passing breeze. Whatever sweet sauce that drizzled over this pork wannabe, it smells heavenly. Heck, even the sorry-looking vegetables seem appetizing. Despite myself, without even checking exactly what this is, hunger swiftly takes over every rational thought. I dig in without waiting for them to start. The rest of them appear to be in the same mind, too. Soon enough, they all start with theirs. No casual talk while we fill our empty stomachs. Exhausted as we all are, food is something we can't forgo. Starvation dulls the thinking, weakens the body. If we are to survive this, we are gonna have to take care of ourselves first. In a matter of minutes, we are done and dumping the empty cartons on a nearby waste bin. Along with it is the shift in the mood. Back to the smell, back to the problem at hand. The comfortable atmosphere from minutes ago was nice while it lasted. Admittedly, I have missed these kinds of moments between us. We have never had the chance, always busy on some project or work. The things we have taken for granted, now we are realizing how valuable they are. The world has an awful sense of humor, while the one we have just had is short-lived. It's another thing I want to look forward to if we ever free ourselves from this damn curse. I'd like to believe there's a way. For now, we have to focus back on the present. This. Dead people. The letter. The curse. It's not simple to bring this up, but necessary.
What now? Where do we go from here?
It's not a question directed at anyone in particular, but they all look to me as if my face has all the answers in the question. in the world. I used to think so, back when I was at the top of my game and I'm still sure of everything. Now there's just uncertainty selling whatever decision I come up with. At some point, logic has simply stopped working here and we have started grasping at straws. Along with exhaustion, fatigue and stress, we have enough kindling to get a fire burning. Whoa, the not so pleasant kind of fire.
Well, first, we can't just stay here. That much is obvious.
But we can't just keep running like this either, Becca. Sooner or later, she'll...
As if we have a choice. We can't even go back to our own homes because that thing might get us. No, we're safe. But dying is the last thing I want to do right now, Isabella. Not to a stupid chain letter you were too gullible to pick up, bring with you, and show to everyone.
I didn't do it on purpose. Becca, had I known, I wouldn't have...
In fact, she never even did. It's just spawned in there.
Hey, you two. None of us want to die to this. Just calm down. We ain't getting anywhere shouting at each other.
Whose side are you on, Zachary?
No one's. But we can't just say it's her fault. She did warn us not to open it. And both you and Ashton...
That doesn't exempt her from any blame. She's still largely responsible for it.
And you're not?
I didn't say that! Do you really think I don't blame myself for this as well?
I tried to warn all of you. None of you listened. Now you're blaming me for something I kept telling you guys since day one?
Stop breaking apart.
You're just as responsible for this as I am.
So now you're throwing it back at us? We wouldn't even be having this problem if you're...
Will you two cut it out? This ain't the place for I don't know, petty squabbles.
If you don't want to get caught in it, then stay out of this, Zachary.
Oh no, Zach. Don't stop her. Let her say it. I'm sure she has plenty more to say. If I didn't know any better, she's already...
Already what? You want me to say it? Out loud? That I find you in this whole thing?
All right, that's enough. Everyone, shut up.
They all falter to silence at my words. An awkward silence, stifling mood descends between us. I do not mean to shout, to snap at them, to add to that kindling, not in a moment when anytime, anywhere she might get to one of us. We are all in the same boat. Here we are playing the blame game, where it's just gonna eventually lead to one of yours death, instead of, how about working together. Little by little we are falling apart, caving into the pressure, to the bleak situation we are trapped in. Did that ghost meant for this to happen? To divide each of us so she can pick us off one by one right after? Who knows? Anything's possible now if her kind can exist. With the fire burning between us, rising as high as it does now, I'm afraid, deathly afraid, that the possibility might come sooner than I can figure all of this out. I still can't think straight. I can't even believe the next words coming out of my own mouth, that out of everyone, I have to be the one saying this to them. This is more their forte than mine, keeping the peace, placating everyone, while I unintentionally aggravate people with badly chosen words. Funny how fast the tables have been turned after just one unfortunate incident. How am I even supposed to cope?
If we all want to get out of this mess in one piece, we're gonna have to cool our heads first.
Yup. Before my own temper flares, I walk away and slide back into my car. If the door slams with more force than needed, I'd like to blame it on the pent-up anger boiling up in me. I'm not even sure what or who I am angry at. The ghost? At them? Or maybe at myself for being this useless? Because despite none of them saying it, I know, goddammit, they're still counting on me. In spite of my failures or every harsh word I've uttered or how unbearable I can be as a friend, it's there when the tension after the argument finally breaks and one by one they follow me and get in the car. It's in the concerned glances they shoot my way when I start the engine without a word and drive off. It's in their silence, a heavy gift, their unwavering trust. Yet it's one I'm more than willing to carry, even through my own exhaustion, if only to keep them safe. In this city of 68,000 strangers, they are the only ones I have left. Though in all seriousness, a good rest is still our best bet for now. Yeah, you guys are too sleepy, so maybe that's another reason why you are falling apart right now. Thinking with an exhausted brain is almost as good as running around in circles. We might as well just throw ourselves at that ghost and be done with this. The local Irish pub may not be the best place to hang around when one hasn't slept a wink or you're stressed. More often than not, it's loud. Sometimes the music played by drunkards grates the ears and the whole place smells like piss on a bad day. All in all, it's very definition of the last place I will hang around after a wakeful night, but it's safe. Or as safe as it can be with G's security watching the place. Makes it easy to find help in case you find yourself in a tight spot. The place being owned by a person I've implicitly placed my trust on provides some semblance of comfort too. Gregor, bartender G, or just G to his regular patrons might be rough around the edges. Sometimes a bit too gruff for a man serving drinks behind the counter, but he belongs to the good folk of the city. If there's anyone in this place I can rely on to look after people important to me, it's probably him. He means well. Surprisingly, despite his surly demeanor, cares to some extent for people he likely only sees once or twice a week or on a bad day. Not the best job in the world in my opinion, but that's exactly it, isn't it? In wine, there is truth. Alcohol, in this case. It loosens the tongue, forces one to let his or her guard down. Whatever inhibitions anyone has, it all flies straight out the window after a few glasses. It has made him observant too. Always has one or two things to say about someone or something. Most of the time it's me, opinionated. But God knows how many times I have asked for his help when I'm met with a dead end in case or I'm in trouble. This time's no different. Let's see what a bartender can help us with. As expected, the moment we show up, he's kind enough to offer us a room at the back of his shop. A single look at my face, I don't even need to say anything, and the next thing we know, he's leading us in. No questions asked. Maybe it's also for this reason why I find myself drifting towards the station hours later, after having gotten that much needed shut-eye. Newly washed drinking glasses and tumblers line the counter's surface when I enter the room. Behind the bar, G is busy wiping each of them clean, likely prepping it for tonight's use. Briefly, he glances up at me once I claim one of the empty stools and grab Rock's glass sitting closest to my elbow. Turning it absent-mindedly in my palm just to keep my hands occupied while my brain's busy still trying to make sense of everything. Even at a dead hour with only a few patrons milling about, this place still smells strongly of liquor. Honestly, I've never grown fond of it. Regardless of how many times I've made a trip to sat here on the same spot just talking with the old man, I've never been fond of drinking in the first place. Yet oddly, it's the nasty odor of a brewery that helps clear the mind this time. Along with the lack of establishment's usual hubbub and the occasional clinking of glasses. Even more bizarre is that, through my lack of words, G doesn't say anything. Although it's clear from the way his mouth has curved up in a tight frown that he has questions, a bucket load of it, he wisely keeps it shut. Instead, he simply focuses back on his work. Rinse, wipe, stash away, repeat. Going through the motions with such familiarity, it's almost a trance. Watching his precise movement quietly like this, with this thought swimming inside my head, it's easy to lose track of everything around me. One solid lead on this, one possible way to sort this out, but will it work? Especially if my assumption's correct and that the reason Zack was there yesterday morning was because of the curse? Something must have happened there for him to see the need to visit the place that morning. What if the couple has fallen victim to the curse too? It doesn't fall outside the realm of possibility. I've been so biased, not even thinking that they might be in danger as well. But during the open house with Isabella, they might have seen the letter and... oh.
Stupid. Some f***ing detective I am.
It's likely the moment when Cooper saw it. If the logic holds, I need to hurry there right away, and if there are answers anywhere, it would be there. It should be there, where all of this mess started. Yeah, it's right in that mansion only. In fact, it is, but Luke is also there. That's the problem. And alone, crazy. That's bigger problem. Yeah. It's not only my life on the line here, there are others. What happened to us, I won't wish on anyone else, no matter how much I loathe them, or how complicated all of this has suddenly become. The letter, the woman, the mansion, and now there are the voices lacing venom inside every crevice of my head, murmurs that jeer, scoff, and deride whenever an opportunity presents itself.
Because you didn't listen.
It's all your fault. Why won't you believe me?
A reminder of what I have failed to do and who I have failed. At some point they all began to blur together, twining and coiling, every horrid image and memory of her seeking the forefront of my mind. No matter how much I refuse to remember the fear I have felt then, to push it as far back as I can, the visions come to me like a deluge. And before I know it, before I can drown, another voice pulls me out of it.
You doing good there, boy?
His hands is on my shoulders, gripping it tightly and giving me a light shake. There's relief in his face when I finally look up at him, although his frown appears more distinct than the concern in his eyes. It's deeper now, marred with worry and agitation. He does let go when I offer him a small nod, but the furrow between his eyebrows never leaves his face. He always has a knack for reading people after all, even someone who can be closed off or distant like me. In all the time I've spent in the force, there's only one other person who has as skin as this old guy, the chief. He looks like him only! Like seriously! Just compare chief and this guy and that priest guy. They are all the same. Funny and weird to some extent. I've pointed it out to him so many times before how much they look alike, only for the observation to be brushed off with a vehement tone. He's like, hey, don't say that we look same. It's because, like, you know, I don't know why. I feel like this was more of like a joke from the creators, only like, hey, in case if you never thought of this fact that, you know, we used the same model for these three guys, this guy, the chief guy, and the priest guy. Yeah, now you know. I have never brought it up again after the third time out of the respect for the guy. Whatever it is, it's clear it's something he doesn't want to talk about. Why push, right? However, during times like this, it's impossible for the thought not to come up. He even has the glare down pat. Under his wordless scrutiny, I feel like a damn rookie again.
You're looking a bit green. Sure you got plenty of rest back there? You were only out for an hour or two. Wouldn't hurt to try and get some sleep. I'll keep an eye out.
No need. Don't worry about me. I won't be able to get some sleep anyway.
Not with her face still a clear picture in my head. No.
I heard that from you before. Not buying it. What's the story this time? This as bad as that case with the guy who ate his own eyeball?
I wish it were. Jesus, stop reminding me. I hated that case. If I didn't know any better, I'd say you get a kick out of telling people about it.
It's useful, you know, for blokes who don't know their limits. Sends them right out the door after I start with a description. Or was it the part when the poor schmuck gouged his eyes out? Nasty, awful, icky stuff, and it gets the job done. Like I said, useful. Don't even need to call security these days if I want to kick someone out. Anyway, pretty sure that pales in comparison to whatever this is now. I haven't seen you this stressed out since they closed that case. The one from 10 years ago with your professor friend.
Abigail and her team weren't able to solve that one, G. No one has been able to. It just went cold.
Same difference. But what do I know, eh? I just serve drinks, listen to people's problems and their whining, then make sure they get home safe afterwards. Thing is, I'm also not blind, kiddo. And you can bet your ass I can tell when a person's about to fall apart.
What? Is this some form of therapy from you? Are you going to offer me free drinks now?
In your dreams, kid. Last time someone gave you the art stuff, your photographer friend had to haul you out of this place almost half naked.
Hey, I can handle my liquor when I put my mind to it.
Not from what I've seen, nope. Besides, you usually avoid drinking. Either way, it's out of the equation. And when booze no longer counts, we just talk. So, talk. It's not like anyone within earshot will care. That chap over there only wants his cricket matches.
I doubt you believe it, G.
I've heard worse stuff. Try me.
You know that mansion down at Anslem?
Yeah, who doesn't? You live in this town long enough, it's impossible not to hear a thing or two about it. Bloody locals.
Well, my friend found a primitive version of a chain letter in there. Now that we've seen it, we're cursed.
A beat passes. For a long moment, G stands there unmoving. His hand stops short of placing the glass he's been wiping prior back to a rack on his left. All while he stares at me with eyes that are nothing short of scrutinizing. He probably assumes I'm joking. Who wouldn't? Not a week ago I've been put in the same position. Even now, in spite of the things I've seen and heard, it simply won't sink in. Or maybe this is just desperation creeping in. The idea that I may not be able to find a way out of this. Whatever the case is for people who hasn't experienced what I'm going through, this will merely sound like an awful Halloween prank.
It's not a prank.
This must have been what Isabella felt the whole moment we made fun of her that day.
This isn't a prank! I saw something!
Now it's too late. We are stuck in a never-ending nightmare where the only way out might be death. And like I've expected, G's reaction to it, an amused laughter. It booms throughout the whole pub after a long bout of silence, like I've just told him a particularly funny joke.
Okay. Good one, kid. You don't want to spill. No one's forcing you. Seriously, though. Good one.
Although I want to be angry with him, I can't find it in myself. Can't even muster the energy for a scowl or a glare. Nothing but a taste of my own medicine to temper the annoyance bubbling up in me, I suppose, yep. In the end, echoing her words is the best I can do.
It's not a joke.
Yeah, alright, good luck with that. You're on your own. Here I thought you didn't have an ounce of humor in that body. Guess I'm wrong.
He shakes his head and lets out another chuckle before returning to his task. By now, almost half of the glasses have been put away. The only ones remaining are the smaller kind used for shots and stemmed ones for cocktails. Despite being busy with his task, his amusement does not entirely disappear from his face. He keeps talking as if I'm simply another customer he entertains with his stories. But we both know it's more than that, if the wistful expression on him says anything.
Man, can't believe you're the same rookie who walked in here almost a decade ago. Too smart for his own good, that boy. He's always been 2 steps ahead of things. Now he's here, sulking.
I must have screwed up somewhere then.
I must have screwed up a lot. For things to suddenly shift like this, for me to become a mere shadow of the person I used to be.
No, I don't think so. This one, screwed up? Not by a mile. It's too early to say. You've still got several years ahead of you, Holmes. Take it easy. But some things change, eh? It has been years, and you were a kid back then. You know, the sort that's a bit unsure, making all the horrible decisions in life he'd eventually be embarrassed to talk about.
You never stopped calling me kid, though.
Well, you still are. It's just that this time, you're sure of who that badge and gun is for. What was it you police types usually say? To protect and serve, yeah?
A significant pause follows at its heels. from both of us as he allows its meaning to sink in and spur something in me, stirring a feeling both heavy and forceful but not completely unwelcome. Unwelcome, familiar. Though before I can even clarify what he's trying to imply or gather my thoughts on the matter, G turns away to begin his work on the silverwares. He will need those too once more of his patrons come in for lunch. Slow and easy, a sharp contrast with the strained air we have been wading through this past weeks. Fleeting movement, but one I allow myself to relish, if only because of its absence lately. The way things are now, this is almost a gift. So when it all ends with loud shuffling of foot from the adjacent hallway, a sigh is all that leaves me. There's no need for me to look up to know who it is. Zach's tread alone are telling there is always a weighted set to them, steps that are taken with a lazy cadence. Like he's always trying to make himself smaller, less conspicuous, than he actually is. In a place he's unfamiliar with, he also tends to linger, stand awkwardly at the sides as if he's all too afraid to break something. That or he's waiting for a permission of some kind. Either way, he's never been the kind to barrel headfirst into things or forgo courtesy despite appearances. Much like how Rebecca's mother Henning Bell is for fear temperament, or Isabella's rare display of maturity appears at odds with her youth. There has been a lot of those in my life, it seems, more so from the people I've grown closer to over the years. Walking contradictions we all are. It's a wonder how we ended up as friends in the first place. But maybe that's also exactly why. To some extent there's still an understanding in there, in knowing that no matter how long you have been together, or how familiar you are with a person's habits, or how many lifetimes there might be for all of you, one can never fully know a person. Sometimes it works because they merely chose to stay. Sometimes it's as simple as someone extending a hand first for an apology regardless of every hurtful word said.
Hey Ash?
This time I glance at him, briefly gouging with the mood. Not because reconciliation's an issue for me, between us it never will be. But somehow this is another thing I'm all too afraid to see crumble in front of me. One wrong word, if this is going to end in another argument, we might as well stop as early as now. There is another long pause from him, during which he can't seem to figure out what to do with his hand. In the end, he chooses to stuff both into his pocket and trains his eyes at the now empty space behind the counter. Without our notice, G has slipped back into the kitchen, leaving only the two of us and everything awkward in the world at the moment. Still, Zach trudges on, a hopeful tone slipping into his voice simply because it's the only thing he knows to do.
Did you, get any sleep?
It's a start, at least. A stiff one, but a start. The least I can offer in return is that rare Hornets tea.
For a few hours, yeah.
Curt, brusque, not an ounce of friendliness in it. In spite of it, Zach takes it as a sign. Relief washes over him as his shoulders relax and he releases a tense breath. Soon he's closing the distance he has put between us and flops onto the chair and to my right.
I think the better question is if the dreams are pleasant. And for the record, no.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I get those a lot.
He shifts in his seat, coughs, drums his fingers on the counter for a short while, then falls silent. That's it, no apologies. Somehow, that short exchange is all we need. The air changes again, much like everything we have known lately. Maybe not for the better, not yet. However, it's less suffocating, with less hostility and resentment, the kind where it's easy to pretend, easy to forget. Not that it's a thing that will happen anytime soon, but one can dream. In a situation where that might come knocking anytime, it's this little hope we cling to. It's this little things we wish will happen again. I'm not an optimistic person by nature. Hopeful, maybe, but never optimistic, though I want to believe there is a way we will live through this nightmare. It's just funny how it took all of this to spur these kinds of thoughts in me. I can't even remember the last time something like it has occurred to me. For some reason, after seeing one harrowing thing after another, I've simply forgotten.
Why are you suddenly smiling like that?
Huh? Oh, no, I was just thinking about something.
Well, it better be something that'll get us out of this mess.
What makes you think I know how to fix this? Until 2 days ago, I didn't even believe a word you guys have been telling me. Zach, I function better when I'm dealing with homicide cases. Hell, feel free to throw in the usual robbery and missing persons case into the mix. I don't care. Give me a few days and I'll give you a lead. This isn't how I operate. This isn't what I'm good at. For all you know, I might even end up getting us killed. I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well, the fact that you're frustrated but still trying already means something, Ash. Besides, you don't make that face unless you already have an idea. It can't be any worse than this. Maybe. What's on your mind, Ash?
Really is something about Z-Man. Between Rebecca and him, I tend to share with him things I won't normally say to the other. Unlike her who pushes, sometimes with the same tenacity as her mood, Zach has this strange tendency to ease people into telling him what he wants to know. Oftentimes, the question feels so subtle, it catches me off guard, with less force and more forbearance. After all, out of everyone, he's the most grounded. Really, he's like the older brother I never had, the kind you can depend on when things go sour. The kind you tell things to simply because he will listen, without forcing his opinions on you.
We still have one more lead we haven't checked. I'm gonna look into it tonight.
It doesn't take him long to put two and two together, and his calm expression abruptly dissolves to worry the second he realizes what I meant. He's gonna go alone to the mansion. We have already examined the letter, read through piles of documents. There's really only one we haven't given a once over. The mansion. Of course, Zach may not be the kind to push, but that doesn't mean he agrees with everything that comes out of my mouth. It's his way of keeping me steady and on my feet through the years.
Hold on, didn't you tell me not to go in there? Whatever happened to stay away from Luke Wright?
You're an unarmed civilian, Zach.
And so?
So, I want you to stay here and keep yourself safe. I probably won't take too long, but I don't know what might happen. I'm not even sure if I'll find something in there. G will keep an eye on you guys. If you need anything, that woman shows up, just holler. He'll help out, no questions asked. You don't even need to explain anything.
He's not willing to concede, not from the manner he grips his knees or the rigid sit to his jaw.
I'm going with you. You can't go in there alone, Ash. I heard something. The morning I was there, I heard someone scream and then there was a woman crying, and I don't know what's going on inside that mansion, but I am telling you, you shouldn't face whatever's inside alone.
Before I can stop myself, a heavy breath escapes from my mouth. It's one of those times again where Zach means well, but he's completely missing the point I'm trying to make. When things take a turn for this, when he gets in a mood like this, he's almost as headstrong as Isabella. Whoa, how and where do I even start? Alright, so I'm gonna end the episode right here. This is quite a good decision over here. Game-changing one, considering should I go over there alone? Or should I go there alone? But which one is the rude one and the good one? We'll see all about that in the next episode. So hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, please click that like button, subscribe for more awesome content, comment down with your thoughts, and we'll see you guys next time. Goodbye and Shabaka.